this is Anna from Cat Realty, and today I'm going to give you the part 2 of my EN2 journey. If you haven't seen the part 1 yet, you can find the link below, and it does make sense to go and check that out before you check this one out. But either way, it is the continuation of my EN2 road trip, and I've told you what I did up until this point of the road here, and I'm going to tell you the rest of it in this video. So, for those of you who do not know, Cat Realty is a relocation and investment agency that helps expats move to Portugal in a sustainable way, both culturally and financially. It's very important for us to help you integrate from a lifestyle and living perspective, and also into a culture. We work in the whole of continental Portugal because our goal is to show that Portugal has so much more to offer than just Lisbon, Porto, and the Algarve. And therefore, we always try our best to match people with the best locations for their ideal lifestyles. That can be anything. It can be living in the city. It can be living in a quiet place, in a mountain, in a beachfront. Just tell us. We will find the right match for you. So, if this makes sense for you, feel free to check out our website in www.savvycatrealty.com. So just recapping, EN2 Road is the longest road in Portugal with 739 kilometers. It goes right through the middle of Portugal. It goes through everything. This upper part is called Minho. Then you have the Douro area here. Then you have the Ribatejo. Then you have the Alentejo. And then you have the Algarve. So it's a beautiful road trip to make in order to explore Portugal. And Portugal really does have a lot to offer, and a lot more than you may think. In such a small country, how much different landscapes you can find. Next stop was Viseu, which we arrived on the 24th of May and stayed until the 26th of May. In Viseu, we stayed in a hotel in the middle of the city called Avenida Boutique Hotel. We paid 170 euros for 2 nights, and the breakfast was really, really good, and the room was very spacious. The hotel did not have any amenities or parking, but for our purpose, that it was to visit the city, it was very suitable. Viseu was one of the cities that impressed me the most. I think it's very well developed, and the balance between monuments and the modern city is really appealing. Overall, Viseu is developing very well, and it's also known as the garden city, which means that it does have a lot of gardens, and we did make a point to visit the gardens as much as possible. We did manage to visit most of them, I think, and I do love a city with greenery, so overall I really liked my stay in Viseu. We also met with a friend of my mother's that lived in Viseu, so we got a local guide. So in Viseu, I have here a bunch of things that we wanted to see. There's quite a lot of things in Viseu. So the first thing was the Sé Cathedral and the Dom Duarte Square, which is one of the biggest monumental areas in Viseu. And we also went to visit the museum that is on the part of the Sé, and this is an art sacra museum with a master painter from I think it's 16th century, but I may be wrong. Then there is still a wall or parts of a wall around museum, around Viseu, and there are still 2 original doors, which we also got to see. We also went to actually our museum was basically on Praça da República. Our museum. Our hotel was basically on Praça da República, where there is an amazing tile panel, and we also got to see that. Then we went to Rua Direita and the shopping area that is quite interesting too, because you still have there some Manuelina windows, and like I said, it's really in the middle of monuments. It's a really old medieval kind of street, but then it becomes a modern commerce area. There was even a really cool alternative bar in the middle of it. So that was really nice. We went to see the Viriato sculpture and the covered Viriato, that is kind of a defensive building in the middle of Viseu. You can't really tell because it's really big, and it's kind of just land shaped differently, I guess, but it's easy to tell from the map, and you can see a bit of it and walk around it. So that was nice. We also went to the funicular that wasn't working, so we just got to see. And we went by the Linen Museum and the Quartz Museum, and that's where we got some of our stamps too. So this is the Sam Museum stamp, that one is the Quartz Museum, that one is the Linen Museum, and this one is the Tourism Office stamp. So we see here the mileage, it's 172. Viseu is the mile 172. So there we go. That's we stayed 2 days in Viseu in order to see all of this and get all the footage done. And at the exit of Viseu, we also went by Vila Chã and Tondela, where we got our next stamp at a little coffee shop. And because it was Sunday, unfortunately, the museum was closed, but it was here on my route of things to visit. And then we also missed the Arte Rupestre de Molelinhos, which is art rupestre is like ancient drawings, and I have no idea where it is. There was no indications of whatsoever. I had it written down that it was a thing, but we couldn't find it. The next thing here is the Mark 200, the mile 200 mark. And once again, we went by it, but couldn't take picture because it was in a place that you couldn't stop. And the next stop was the viewpoint of Santa Combradão, which we actually didn't. We went through Santa Combradão, and I managed to get a stamp, which incredibly the tourism point was open, but I was worried that it would happen like in Viseu and we would get too late to the next stop, and chose not to go to the viewpoint, which turned out we could have gone because we did have time. So the area from here, from Santa Combradão until the next stop, we stayed in the Aguieira barragem, in the dam, Aguieira Dam. And I thought that the Aguieira Dam would be in Mortágua, the hotel. No, turns out it's in Penacova. So because of that, we skipped Mortágua because I was duly convinced that the hotel would be in Mortágua. But turns out that in this area, the road is an absolute mess because they made the barrage, and the barrage submerged a part of the road, and then they built a new road, which is, I think it's IP3, that goes over some of the area where the EN2 is, and this area is just super confusing to just keep up with the street. But we made some detours. There was a part where we're just going alongside the IP3, and it looked like a bike trail, but it was, the sign said it was to that way to do the EN2. Anyway, it was confusing, but we got to the Aguieira barrage, dam, Aguieira Dam, and we went by to see the viewpoint near the 5-star hotel. We did not stay in the 5-star hotel. We stayed in a smaller hotel next to it that was called Quinta da Conchada, and it was one of those that was a very positive surprise. It is a bit outdated, and the room's decor is a bit outdated, but we paid 76 euros per night. It had a very decent breakfast, and it had the most amazing view, really. Just for the view, it was worth it. And it also had a cool Japanese-inspired spa. So it was overall a pretty nice experience. You had a jacuzzi with this amazing view and so on. So we stayed here just for one night, and we checked out the dam, and then the next stop was Penacova, which is actually already where the hotel is. So this stamp is from the hotel, it's the 229 mile, and then Penacova is the 238 mile. So it wasn't too far, and we had lunch in Penacova in the Reconquinho fluvial beach, so that's the stamp, and then we also got the municipality stamp. In this location, we had a really nice, typical homemade-like lunch, and it was really cheap. I think it was like 14 or 12 euros, and I'm talking for the both of us. So overall, it was a nice experience, and the Penacova fluvial beach, the Reconquinho beach, is really pretty. They were doing some kind of works there, so we didn't really go into the beach itself, so it didn't really affect us. There is also a camping park in that location. So next stop was the Livraria do Mondego viewpoint. The Livraria do Mondego is just a rock that looks like a bookshelf, and it became renowned because of that. And there is walking trails along the Mondego River in that area. And the next stop was Vila Nova de Poiares, where we got this really cool stamp in a place called the Central Bar, where they took the picture of us and kind of just put it there. And then we also got a stamp in the museum. And there was also a mural of the EN2 where we also got to take some pictures, of course. And the next stop was also in a dam, and it is the Dam of Cabril. And there we stayed in a hotel called Hotel da Montanha. That was one of the most surprising stays we had. We only paid 67 euros and 60 cents, and we had an amazing interior spa with jacuzzi, interior pool, sauna, and Turkish bath. It was a huge outside pool, and it had an amazing view. The rooms were a bit outdated, but honestly, they were fine. So it was a really surprising experience in a positive way. Pedrógão Grande and Pedrógão Pequeno are actually just next to each other, but they are separated by the dam and the river. And the Pedrógão Pequeno is in the Sertã side because of that, and while Pedrógão Grande is a different parish. So when we went, because we were staying in Pedrógão Pequeno, I wrongly assumed that it would be in Pedrógão Grande, but turns out it was in the Sertã parish. Either way, it was just about a 10-minute drive in order to go back to Pedrógão Grande, where we had our lunch in this lovely place called Taberna do Ferrador, and also got our stamp in the firefighters. All of the firefighters, museums, and tourism points along the EN2 have stamps, and a bunch of other places like hotels and so on also have the stamps, so we had fun collecting them. So we ate very well in Pedrógão Grande, and it was also not expensive at all. I think it was around 20 euros. So then we went to have dinner in Pedrógão Grande. We went back to sleep at the hotel. There was also this cute fact that my great-grandfather, which I actually did meet, and it was my mother's grandfather, he was born in Pedrógão Grande, and my mother remember going to the parties that apparently were on the top of the hill where the hotel currently is at. So that was a really cool thing that I actually was not aware. I didn't know my great-grandfather was from there. And my mother got to relive a few memories, so it was an interesting experience. So after this, we checked out of the hotel, and we went to check the dam and the little cities. So apparently Pedrógão Pequeno is considered a schist village. And this is curious because we didn't see any schist houses in that area. And we did not stop by in the Lausanne area where you actually have the schist villages. And that's actually something that I just realized that I skipped in the last video. I skipped the Lausanne area. Lausanne area is actually one of those locations where you do go by a part of the road, but it's really hard to get stamps. So we actually got the stamp from Lausanne in Góis. And Góis is a really nice, I think it's village, I'm not sure. And it is riverside, and they have this really cool fluvial beach there. And we got all of the stamps in Góis, and this one was actually also in Góis. So Góis was before Pedrógão Grande. I just somehow in the video skipped that page, so I'm just reviewing it here. And I would also like to leave a note about the Lausanne area. If you are doing the EN2 road, it may probably make sense to make the detour and visit the schist village in the Lausanne area. We didn't do that because I've had already visited them in the past and I didn't want to stretch out the trip too much. So I decided to stick to the things that were in the EN2 actually went by. But if you do this road trip with a bit of time, I do recommend stopping by in the schist villages in Lausanne. So, going back to where we were in the Pedrógão Pequeno exit. The next stop was Sertã. We explored a bit of the Pedrógão Pequeno area. We went to see the Roman bridge and the Roman path. There is walking trails in these areas. We didn't do the whole thing. It was really getting really hot at this point. So we got a bit of rain in the start in Chaves. Then the temperature up to this point was really acceptable. Let's take like 24 to 28 degrees. And then from this point on, we start getting over 30. So that starts getting a bit too much for me, but we move on. So next stop was Sertã, where we went to check the convento, and we also went to have lunch. We had something typical from Sertã. The restaurant was apparently quite renowned, despite being a station restaurant. And we got to eat bucho. Actually, we ate bucho in Pedrógão Grande. And then in this area, we ate cod. So that was it, yeah. We also went to see the Roman bridge in Sertã and got our stamp that is upside down. So, now we are officially at Half, and the next stop was the Geodesic Center of Portugal. So the Geodesic Center of Portugal is in Vila Real. And you have this really, really old mark there. And they do this cool 3D kind of stamps. I don't know if I can show. I see they are kind of, they go through the pages. And it's also a viewpoint. And of course, I made some footage of the viewpoint there. Curiously, I had a medical appointment by video call there. So I joked I was in the literal center of Portugal. Either way, they also had a shop selling a bunch of things related to the EN2, and we got this cool sticker that we also put on the page. Oh, we also went by the mile 369, and this one I did get a picture of, and this is the official middle of the EN2 road. So we checked the museum, and the next stop was Abrantes. But before we went to Abrantes, we stopped in Sertã in order to get our stamps. We got this one in a gas station, and these two were on a restaurant right next to it. And then we also stopped in the windmill park that had some recovered windmills. And we also went to the fluvial beaches and what little waterfalls in that area. That area is a really beautiful river/mountain area with really beautiful views, and it's right next to Abrantes, which was our next stop. We did some trails in that area in order to go and see the waterfall of Penedo Furado. So there is a little waterfall there. So next stop was Abrantes, and Abrantes is a city, the closest we will be to Lisbon in this trip, because it goes through the interior of the Portugal. So Lisbon is here and Abrantes is right there. So Lisbon, Abrantes. Anyway, this is about 1 hour and a half drive from Lisbon, and it's right on top of the Tejo River. So it is in the area where we say it's the separation from Ribatejo and Alentejo, which literally means above Tejo and below Tejo. So this area is a bit curious because you will find a bit of architecture that is typical to the center and Lisbon areas, but then you also see some architecture that is more typical from Alentejo. And we ate really, really well in Abrantes. Both of the restaurants, one of them was a bit more of the expensive side. It was the second most expensive restaurant we went to, but it was really, really good. We got lamb chops and they gave us palha de Abrantes ice cream that I absolutely loved. So we also got presunto, which is expensive. So we ended up paying 40, I think it was 46 for the two of us. And we stayed in the Luna Turismo Hotel. That is one of the only 4-star hotels in Abrantes. We paid 134 euros for 2 nights. The breakfast was really nice. The hotel looks terrible on the inside, but on the outside, but it's actually quite nice on the inside. And overall, it was a pretty average stay. The service was okay, the room was okay, but nothing out of the ordinary. Overall, it is good for the price. We also went to visit the castle and fortress, the historic center, and then we got to see a bit of the outskirts of town where there's almost two Abrantes. You have the old town Abrantes and then you have the new town Abrantes, and they almost look like different cities. It's kind of curious. And I also made footage here, so I'll be posting a video about Abrantes, so stay tuned for that. I hope that you enjoyed this. I really, really enjoyed this trip. It is an amazing way to get to know the landscapes and the cultures of the different locations in Portugal. As you know, we release videos every week with useful information, so please do subscribe. And if you want to reach out directly to us, if you are considering coming to Portugal and think that our service can be a good solution for you, feel free to reach out at contact.savvycatrealty.com or just check out our website in www.savvycatrealty.com, where we explain all of our services very transparently. So see you all next week and looking forward. Bye.